reach a point sometimes that you feel frustrated, you have some anger and some resentment.
And I was not patient with him, regretfully, you know, it was not a good moment.
You realize that your whole life is consumed with caring for another individual, but that's what you do for your loved one. You care for them.
It's such like a sweet phrase to be a caregiver, but it's exhausting, it's frustrating, but you know, it's rewarding too.
Frustration, exhaustion, resentment, and love. These are all very real feelings for people who watch over their loved ones who are living with Parkinson's disease. Hello everyone, I'm Ted Scouten. I'm here at Baptist Hospital, home of the Miami Neuroscience Institute. You know, I'm one of about 1 million people in the U.S. who's living with Parkinson's disease, and one day the overwhelming majority of us will need a caregiver. A study finds that 88% of men with Parkinson's disease and 79% of women have a caregiver. The study also finds they have a higher quality of life than those without help. But as we find out, the life of a caregiver can be very demanding and difficult.
We met 34 years ago, February.
When I walked home from that first meeting, I said, "Dear God, I want to know that man."
Jeff and Roger's story began in Miami when they met through church while working at neighboring hospitals. Jeff a nurse at the VA, Roger a chaplain next door at Jackson Memorial.
We agreed to meet and went to lunch at Hardee's in downtown Miami, so we had our first meeting at Hardee's.
Since then, they've traveled the world together. They've loved, laughed, and faced challenges side by side for decades. Then in 2015, perhaps their biggest challenge.
We just did.
Roger was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
I was noticing changes in behavior, changes in being able to hold things tightly or drop things, changes in my voice.
Carbidopa, levodopa.
Both of their lives changed dramatically in just a few years.
This one he gets a half of, have to break it.
Now Jeff's day, every day and night, is consumed with taking care of Roger. That means 4 times a day.
Open mouth wide. Ready? All right, swallow, swallow.
Giving him his Parkinson's meds on time, on a strict schedule.
If he gets too far off that schedule, his symptoms, tremor, drooling, those symptoms get significantly worse.
And at times there's more.
He has a lot of drooling, and you have claws, and at night he has an overactive bladder, so you're up off and on all night.
And one of the biggest worries, Roger falls, breaking his hip for the first time in October.
You're totally constrained with everything you do because you really have to be responsive to the needs of the individual, and you have to put your needs second.
It's a 24/7 job.
There's no sleeping late. You get up because you got to have food ready for him to eat in order to take his medicines at 8 o'clock, and you have to do blood pressure checks.
Jeff is by no stretch complaining. He's describing life as a caregiver, and it's not always easy.
I've always been a self-care person, exercising. I used to go to the gym. Can't do that anymore.
Ooh, we're gonna get wet.
Walking the dog for 15 minutes is a chance for Jeff to carve out some time for himself. Self-care is very limited.
Once I get him in bed at night, my relaxation time is just lying down in bed and using my iPad. That's about it.
So why do it?
It's a struggle. But you understand that that's part of living, that's part of loving, that's part of caring, that's part of giving.
I'm my brother's keeper.
This is Susan Stalker and Robert Gardner, brother and sister. Robert lives with Parkinson's disease. Until last October, he was on his own in Asheville, North Carolina for the last 30 years. Then came Hurricane Helene.
And my husband Mike and I decided, let's go. We dropped everything. We loaded up the car with hundreds of dollars of supplies and food, and we drove 12 straight hours to Asheville.
After one night, Susan and her husband Mike realized that Robert could not live alone. He was falling, making life dangerous, and he was off schedule with his meds.
Physically, it was getting more and more difficult to be living alone. And, friends are friends, and you can only ask them to pick you up off the floor so many times. And so there was those inclinations to get closer to family.
They packed him up and moved him to Hollywood.
When she said, "Get in the car," and I said yes, I didn't comprehend how immense that would be.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Susan and her husband have been documenting his journey in sometimes heart-wrenching photos.
The first few times picking you up off the floor, not very gracefully, you just think to yourself, I don't want to do this. Why do I have to do this?
Susan's life radically changed.
It's such like a sweet phrase to be a caregiver, but it's exhausting, it's frustrating.
One night stands out for Susan. She wished she could have a do-over.
I heard Robert calling out for help, and I walked into Robert's room, and he was on the floor.
She tried getting him up on her own.
And I was not patient with him, regretfully. It was not a good moment. I was losing it. And usually I'm very gentle picking him up. I was not gentle that night. And I was furious with myself. I had to stop. I had to go into another room, and I had to calm down. I had to calm myself down.
One way Susan stays calm, she carves out a little time every day to give herself a break.
I make a point to get out of the house every day, even if it's just for 20 minutes, to clear my head. I either walk the dog a couple times, or sometimes I will just get in the car, even if I don't have an errand.
So why do all this?
It's definitely about love. And it's about letting go of your ego. And, they say that the word, in the word family, you have to remove the letter I and think of others and not yourself.
After hearing Jeff and Susan's stories, we started looking for options to help people deal with that emotional toll of caregiving, even if, like in Jeff's case, you can't leave the house.
I just signed for this up yesterday. So it's kind of been good to talk to Rita just about a lot of different things.
This is NSU's Parkinson support group for caregivers.
It's very convenient to do on Zoom.
In conjunction with Nova Southeastern University, the group meets monthly. For caregivers who feel they can't make it to an in-person meetup, virtual is an option.
We're not prepared to be a caregiver.
Dr. Ashley Stripling works with the virtual group.
We're talking about those emotions, that feeling anger, resentment, frustration. Sometimes those come because caregivers are sacrificing part of themselves to provide care.
Dr. Stripling says it is totally normal to feel complicated emotions, that caregivers need to look for simple ways to de-stress.
For some people, it's a warm bath. For some people, it's they want to go for a brisk walk and get outside. For some people, they want to be in the garden. There are a bunch of self-care activities.
The goal is to help caregivers like Susan and Jeff get the help they need to be kind to themselves so they can continue their caregiving journey. When you look at it, caregiving is an act of love, but sometimes it can become too demanding to handle alone.
I really wanted to have some respite, somebody who could come, who would be knowledgeable and skilled to be able to watch after him while I'm away, just to run, run to the grocery store.
We'll take a look at what Jeff and Susan did to try to get help.
Living with Parkinson's on CBS News Miami is presented by Baptist Health. Welcome to Breakthrough Brain and Spine Care.
All you have to do is ask your caregiver, and they'll tell you just how stressful life can be when you're helping someone who has Parkinson's disease. You saw that in Jeff and Susan's stories. Studies show some 60% of caregivers experience symptoms of burnout. That can include extreme fatigue, frustration and anger, and cloudy or foggy thinking. To help ease some of that mental strain of caregiving, both Jeff and Susan looked for someone to help.
I've had people, professional people that I know say, oh, you got to take care of yourself. Jeff, you got to first take care of yourself. And I would think to myself, okay, I understand that, but how am I going to do that? I can't leave. I have to be here.
As a retired nurse of 40 years, Jeff knows he needs a break. Being a full-time caregiver to Roger, his partner of 34 years, is not easy.
You go through periods of anger, periods of depression.
What's your outlet?
Oh, it's very little. I do the spelling bee with the New York Times. So when I have a chance, I'll sit and do with my iPad. And then I quickly run the dog out to walk for about 10 or 15 minutes, 4 times a day. But that's about it.
Jeff found it helpful to be candid and open with Roger.
He has sat and listened to me cry because we've always shared, and I will share what's on my mind. And he sat and listened to me weep and understood it, but we didn't have any solutions to correct the issues.
What do you say to him at that moment to kind of make it better?
I love you. That makes it all better.
Roger and Jeff realize that they need help, especially after Roger broke his hip when he fell in October.
I really wanted to have some respite, somebody who could come, who would be knowledgeable and skilled to be able to watch after him while I'm away, and it didn't happen.
Then after months of recovery, Roger broke his other hip.
We went to the bedroom, and I heard a noise. We almost instantly knew that it was broken. You could just tell.
After the first fall, Jeff spoke to a social worker. He couldn't qualify for free service, but he could get help with a discount.
We got approved for the care. That was in January for respite care.
Excited at first, now they're on a wait list still.
But in terms of that failure to get any assistance, I've moved on beyond that. But I do feel anger for others. Okay, put your hands down and touch the couch, and then sit. Okay.
Jeff has opted not to pursue in-home help. With his experience from 40 years of nursing, he feels they can go it alone.
After all this time, what the heck, I'm not going to bother with you now. I needed you back then. And now this is 2 months later and I still don't have anything. I'm like, forget it.
After 5 months of living with his sister and brother-in-law, Robert is moving into an assisted living facility, but it took a lot to get to this point.
So when I first went into helping my brother out, I was all gung-ho and, I'm going to do this and I'm going to find you the right doctors and I'm going to find you the right programs to be in, and that didn't last very long.
At times, Susan said it could get rough.
I started experiencing like compassion fatigue and rage. I would feel like this anger in me, like building up, and it was kind of shocking, because I've never really experienced that.
After months of research and applications, Susan got Robert approved for Medicaid.
A lot of time on the phone, a lot of time online, a lot of research, and he just got approved about 2 weeks ago.
That opened up some funding for an assisted living facility. Susan began looking. It wasn't easy, but she found a place they both liked. It's not living with family.
In other places in the world, you just take care of grandma, you don't just dump her in a home.
Do you feel like I'm dumping you?
Oh, no.
Because I worry about that.
No, not at all. No, I'm looking forward to being dumped.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Always the optimist.
Yeah.
Robert's in his new place. For Susan, it was tough leaving him.
When I got in the car to leave, I lost it. I was bawling my eyes out. It felt exactly like how it felt when I dropped my kids off at kindergarten.
For Robert, it's an adjustment.
A couple nights ago, I got a phone call from him asking if I would come pick him up so that he could spend the night at our house. And, you know, I had to back off on that with him, and it was very difficult to hear that.
Even though Robert's not in Susan's home anymore, that doesn't stop her from worrying.
I worry about getting his meds on time. I worry about the people who work at the ALF and if they're being nice to him, if they're treating him well.
Despite the challenges for Susan and Robert and Jeff and Roger, there's a critical thread that runs through all this. That thread is love.
It's the thing that you do. When you love somebody, you take care of them. That's just the way it is.
As you just heard from Jeff and Susan, finding an assisted living facility or trying to find help at home can be a very long, demanding process, but you don't have to do it alone.
There's just tons of stuff.
Buried in paperwork and feeling alone, caring for her sister with Parkinson's, who also had a stroke, Francisca Senhouse was stressed.
I didn't know what to do. I felt lost. I felt alone. I didn't know who to turn to, where to go.
Then she found Broward's Area Agency on Aging helpline.
Okay, if you bear with me a moment, I'll provide that for you.
This was the right call for her.
Initially, it took forever for me to even locate that they were in existence. But once I was able to find them, they immediately got on the ball and was able to give me some other resources, other places to go.
Soon, Francisca had someone who could get her some help.
They gave me an aide.
Kevin Corvo helped Francisca and others build a roadmap for caregivers and their loved ones looking for help.
Caregiving is not a journey that you have to take by yourself. We're here to hold your hand and help you through that process.
Still ahead, preparing for the future. My future.
And I certainly don't have a fear of what I might have to do to take care of him, because I'll do whatever I have to do to take care of him.
Find out what my husband and I are doing to prepare for the days ahead.
Living with Parkinson's on CBS News Miami is presented by Baptist Health. Welcome to Breakthrough Brain and Spine Care.
For those of us living with Parkinson's disease, there are early warning signs. Many of them can be missed. Of course, the most common is a tremor. But small handwriting is also an indicator of Parkinson's, along with the loss of smell, trouble sleeping, and something no one likes, constipation. As I navigate this new world of living with Parkinson's disease, I'm also coming to grips with the fact that my husband will likely be my caregiver. That's not easy, but we're doing our best to prepare. For 28 years, Dave Gervasi and I have gone through life hand in hand. We've traveled the world, we've been caregivers to numerous family and friends. Together, we've navigated good times and bad. Now we're feeling our way through the unknown after my Parkinson's diagnosis.
What are some of your biggest fears as you're moving forward now?
For this segment, I asked our friend Tom Runyon to conduct this interview. He's been on this journey with us.
I don't have a fear of what we're facing together, and I certainly don't have a fear of what I might have to do to take care of him, because I'll do whatever I have to do to take care of him.
It's really kind of weird for me to think that one day, Dave will likely be my caregiver. No one wants to think of themselves as needing help for daily things, for putting your clothes on, for going to the bathroom, for taking a shower. So when I think about that, it does bother me.
So this room's almost ready.
While neither of us faces the future with fear, we are preparing. We sold our home of 27 years and bought a condo. We're doing a total renovation with Parkinson's in mind.
Obviously, we did this to make our lives easier and just less complicated and as simple as possible. But we also did things like did wider doors, just in case down the road there's ever a wheelchair. Made sure that the bathrooms are ADA accessible.
We also made honest, blunt communication a priority.
I think the biggest thing that we have committed to each other is to be brutally honest with each other. And if we're feeling something, talk about it. We've gone through other things where we were both scared, we didn't talk about it. And that really plays with your mind.
Our hope is that by educating ourselves, a good attitude and a healthy dose of love and understanding will prepare us for whatever lies ahead.
So if you could say one thing to Ted right now in the present where you are, what would that be?
Just hold my hand, we've got this.
Do I want to alter someone's life because of a change in mind? No one wants to do that. But I know that if that day comes, I have someone in my corner who's a fierce advocate, who loves me, and will hold my hand. And there are some free services out there to help caregivers get that emotional support that they need. More on that when we come back.
Living with Parkinson's on CBS News Miami is presented by Baptist Health. Welcome to Breakthrough Brain and Spine Care.
So as you've seen over the last half hour, it's so important for caregivers to take care of themselves. And that doesn't always cost money to get that help. Nova Southeastern University offers free mental health services through a grant. Here at Baptist, they host a symposium for people living with Parkinson's and their caregivers. To learn more about what's available to you, just go to our website, cbsmiami.com. We have a bunch of links for you there. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Ted Scouten.
Living with Parkinson's on CBS News Miami is presented by Baptist Health. Welcome to Breakthrough Brain and Spine Care.